What's up, guys? We have a game submission from Ryan KF5. We reviewed his games before. He's rated 1730 something, so this should be a good game. He has the white pieces in a 10-minute game each side against Agusa, another 1700. He opens up with e4. We like to see that, the most aggressive move. E5 by the opponent. We like to see that. Knight f3, developing a piece, attacking the pawn in the center. Black defends the pawn. Okay, so Ryan develops the second knight and hits the center. Black does the exact same thing. This is just a 4 knights game. You know, very simple, very logical. Pawn in the center, knights out. Okay. So I really like this. White takes the pawn with his knight, but the knight's hanging, right? It's like black can take it. So not only is this a gambit, but it's a gambit of a piece, not a pawn. So this is the Halloween gambit. So we're gonna go back here. The Halloween gambit is knight takes pawn, sacrificing this knight. Now, why the heck would you sacrifice an entire knight? Because of the initiative you get, as follows. Let's see. D4, putting a pawn in the center, which opens up his dark square bishop's development, and he does it for free because it hits the knight. So now the knight moves. So what does white do? Boom, E5. This puts a strong attacking pawn on E5 for free and displaces the knight to a worse square because it cannot go into the center. That's why this move is really strong. It also can't go here or here because of the queen. So in essence, E5 sends the knight back home and opens up squares and lines for his own pieces. So black has to go back. Okay, so black is up a knight for a pawn, but white has 2 pawns in the center. Better piece development, much closer to castling. Black's not even anywhere near it, and it's white's turn still. So that's why this gambit is fun. Okay, so white just develops another minor piece, stares at the king and the center. You know, can't argue with a move like that. Black goes bishop b4, pinning the knight, developing one of his kingside pieces. I guess it didn't really have, like, these squares are taken, so it was either here or here, so whatever. Okay, so I mean, doubling the pawns doesn't matter, but queen f3 is a good move, not really because it defends this, but because it threatens checkmate in 1 and develops a piece for free because it's with a threat. Okay, so black takes, so we're forced to recapture. Okay, so white has a nice position with pressure on the king, good pawns, ready to castle, but down a knight. So black tries to protect the checkmating threat, maybe stare at this pawn so he can flick this in. Okay, so Ryan chooses to harass this knight, seeing that it has no squares except for the f8 square. That way, if black does continue with his plan, he can kick it. Okay, so h4 is a super strong move. h5 stops the threat, which was playing h5 himself. And now there's disalignment, so king f1. It's a great move. But Ryan's playing like stockfish here. It's too good. Is this all theory? Is this all Halloween Gambit theory? Okay, so now black goes for d6, but it doesn't actually matter because the king's not there. Okay, so Ryan develops his last minor piece, And if f6 ever comes, takes, takes, and there's this alignment. Okay, so he's playing like perfectly. So it does come, we take it, and now there's a rook that can come here, right? Yeah, he plays rook here, which pins the queen. This doesn't work, I can't make arrows, but this doesn't work. Okay, so he tries it anyway, but you just take it. He takes. Queen e3. This is the first weird move. Queen e3. I mean, I get that it hits the pawn, but I wouldn't want a queen trade. Maybe there's another idea behind it. Like, for example, if you go queen g3, you're still hitting the pawn, but if you take it, you can take with the rook, which is way better than taking with the queen. But I mean, it's not a losing move or anything, and it's still a pawn, so whatever. Okay, at this point, because he had to throw his knight in the center and give it back, the material's even. And now white has a strong attack, so success for the Halloween Gambit. Black goes bishop d7, trying to develop and castle long to alleviate his problems. But now, might as well take the pawn since you did do this. He takes, you take with check. He has to move his king. And, okay, white's up a pawn and just has much better development. It would be nice to still have the queens on the board because the king is under fire. But either way. So let's see, we need to get this rook in the game. I would love to do this and bring it in, but his bishop covers. So you have to move something here. So f3, which makes the most sense, controlling these squares from the pieces. Bishop c6. I'm not sure. Just looking at the center, I guess, improving the piece. So now we lift the king to get our rook in the game. That makes a lot of sense. Okay, so he hits our rooks, just maybe, okay, so double. He takes, you take, that makes perfect sense. Now he moves his bishop back. I don't know, maybe he doesn't want you to go here or something. But I feel like you can go do anything you want. Bishop back and push the pawns. King up the board. I don't know. Okay, so bishop back, which is super cheeky because this check, he has to block, you take it, and it's checkmate. So he has to stop that for sure. But he can't really move his king, so he has to do this maybe, or I don't know if that works. So he plays this, but you don't even go for it now. Instead, you move your rook back, evacuating the e5 square and maybe this diagonal. So now he plays c5, so there's never bishop a3, and then you do use the diagonal bishop f4, which would also be checkmate. g6, creating dark square weaknesses, and he goes in for this checkmate, but because of g6, there's now a new escape square, but it still looks kind of overwhelming. Yeah, so we throw the rook in check, and black resigns. Now black, maybe he goes somewhere, but, well, maybe not there. Well, where else does he go? Yeah, he has no moves, because this runs into this, and this runs into discoveries, at the very least. But this game was too good. Like, it was too strong. It says he only played 89.1%, but that was essentially 99%. Yeah, that was a perfect game. Queen e3 was a little weird. Yeah, that was essentially a perfect game. If you did not use stockfish, good job. Damn. So you just take the initiative, and then you make him undeveloped because undeveloping is terrible. And you keep developing. You keep developing. Force move. Again, making him undeveloped. Literally no squares, but this, and that would be terrible. This is a necessity. King safety um, and castling kind of hangs this pawn. You develop more stuff. You develop more stuff, you take free stuff, and then you just create threats, take free stuff, and then you're doing this again to get the rook in the game, so development. It's all about development. Forcing moves, and then checkmating patterns. So, really good game by white. Essentially perfect if you're not counting the fact that you're blundering a knight in the beginning. Really awesome game, super attacking game. I do want to know, Ron, at what point of that, because you obviously watched videos on Halloween Gambit and stuff, what point of that were you out of theory? Because I want to know at what point you have to be on your own for a game like that. Because I want to play it too, but I mean, I don't really play the two knights out, but I do really like this initiative, so it is something like I would like as a starting position. Anyway, good games. Thank you for the submission. Keep them coming. Anyway, good luck in your chess. Goodbye.